Welcome back to the Budget Gamer channel. Today we're going to be looking at Enter the Gungeon. Now this is a game that I'd heard a lot about before I was able to download it on sale, and excuse the pun, I was blown away. Though if you're morally diametrically opposed to firearms, you probably do not want to download a copy of this game. Because everything in the game Enter the Gungeon is modeled after a gun, whether it's the characters or the levels or the warp pads or, well, everything. Everything is related to guns or bullets. Which makes sense with the overarching story that you are merely one of generations and generations of adventurers who've been assaulting this fortress in order to make it to the end and find the gun that can kill the past. Yes, time travel gun. You begin gameplay in the main foyer of the fortress with 4 different options of character selection: the Marine, the Pilot, the Convict, or the Hunter. Each not only has their own unique pixel art sprite, but their own unique abilities to be able to use within the game. After the initial character selection, you're walked through a bit of a hand-holding tutorial that walks you through the initial dynamics of character control and gameplay. These include how to interact with other characters, flip tables to use as barricades, jump over enemy fire, or use special items. But after being educated on these few game mechanics, you are unleashed, no holds barred, on the fortress itself. Full of randomly and procedurally generated enemies and floor plans, the dungeon consists of multiple floors. Each floor's layout and enemy complement getting harder and harder as you go. Having played the game for nearly half a day, I'm still not sure exactly how many guns and items you have available, but each floor possesses a wealth that you can carry on to the next. Before moving to the next floor, obviously you will have a floor boss. And with no other health refills other than if they're randomly dropped by enemies or purchased at each floor's shop, it really does take a lot of skill to make it to the floor boss, much less beat them without dying. At the end of each floor, you are able to save and quit the game, but that's as much as that does, is allow you to save and quit. If you die at the next floor, you're starting all the way over at the beginning. So again, this game requires a massive amount of skill. If you've seen my review of Wizard of Legend on this channel, it's a very similar gameplay style with a very similar floor and floor boss mechanic. Being basically that the more you play, the more you build your portfolio, the better you're going to get and the further you're going to make it. Otherwise, there's no way to make it to the end. And while I realize this type of gameplay might cause a lot of frustration for certain players, especially more casual players, the payoff and satisfaction for making it further and further of these levels is really gratifying for anyone who's actually invested in this type of game. But regardless of if you're a casual player or a die-hard fan, or you're in it to win it, playing the game and seeing its goofy sprites and interaction just is a lot of fun, regardless of how far you make it. If we were listing pros and cons about the game, there are almost no cons, at least as far as its development goes. Even though levels are procedurally generated, nothing ever feels out of place. And even though the game is all about guns and weaponry and firearms, its goofy charm and randomness in the weapons and the types of weapons available is really disarming. Again, pardon the pun. And despite the difficulty of getting really far in the game in one shot, the gameplay mechanics and character controls are actually perfectly designed and perfectly balanced. It's not a run and gun or a spray and pray, it's a really well balanced arcade style shooter. And the right stick aiming function is just sticky enough and just sensitive enough to actually make the game firing really intuitive. Besides the variety of really memorable boss fights, there are a host of traps and NPCs that you can rescue all throughout the dungeon as well. And though the traps are easy to fall for and it's really easy to get killed in this game, you're never really left with a sense of the game just being too hard as much as you're left with this inner will to just get better. And again, it's that sense of just wanting to come back for more in games like Wizard of Legend or Beat Rush or Enter the Gungeon that is really the hallmark of a really great game. Dying and losing your progress isn't a soul-crushing experience as much as it is a motivation to go further. And as much as I definitely could say about this game, there's really not that much to say. It's just a really good game. And especially now that it's on sale, it really does deserve a spot in your collection if you're a fan of these kind of arcade-style shooters. Its beauty, its simplicity, its ease of control, and its difficulty level all combined make it a really great game. And that wraps up the review of Enter the Gungeon. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, feel free to throw me a like to show your support, and don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates. I put this content out about 3 times a week, but make sure you hit that little bell icon so you get notified as soon as they come out online. Anyway, this has been Budget Gamer, so as always, thanks for watching.